Unfortunately, I have a Chris Weidman situation on my hands right now with Henry Cejudo, and by that I mean Henry Cejudo is making it a little bit difficult at the moment to become a fan of his. Just like I dealt with Chris Weidman, guys, I can't handle this. A lot of fighters that are loving are just like rubbing me the wrong way just a little bit. Regardless, if you have not seen it already, Henry Cejudo had a conversation with Jason Herzog. We're going to take a look at that and what Henry Cejudo was saying. I haven't seen it yet myself. I'm just preparing the video. Thought this would be a fun reaction. I'm going to give my thoughts on it. We're going to take a look at what people had to say about it over on X. This did hit the Explore page. And as always, I would love to know what you think about it down below afterwards. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Guys, let's take a look at championship rounds. They posted the clip for us. And again, I have not seen this. This is my first time seeing this, but this has been going around all day yesterday. Let's hear it.
What's up, Jason?
Sorry, man. Sorry, no problem.
One, you didn't take a point, and then two, when I took the 5 minute break, and we ended up coming back to actually fight, like I still wasn't recovered. But that
oh boy, and I'm gonna have to pause it quite a few times throughout this, guys, because we can't actually. You know what? I'm gonna scroll down. I'm sorry, we can't be looking through UFC footage just like that.
dude still came here, and you didn't do anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Luckily, I couldn't see, or at least I saw four arms.
Now, Henry's completely right about that, to be honest with you. Like, and we have talked about a couple times on this channel whether or not Henry Cejudo was faking the eye poke. Long story short, I think most likely yes, but I'm open to the idea of we are not Henry Cejudo. He could absolutely not be faking it. Everything in his entire career has shown that he would not do something like this, but it did seem like he did do that. What he's saying is completely accurate, that Jason Herzog should have done something, though.
But you never warned him, or you never took away a point, dude. Like,
I'll give you my perspective in the moment, and then just so you hear it. I'm not trying to say it's right or wrong, because I've heard you now, and I completely agree, especially afterwards when he came with his fingers like this. Why?
That's a little weird for Jason Herzog to say now, because if he had this mentality, why wouldn't he have done this in the fight? That's where it's a little bit confusing for me. But you know what? There's a lot going on. And Jason Herzog historically has been a good ref. We'll talk about something else in just a second too, like that. I have a little bit of conspiracy theory with this.
You then stop it and take a point immediately, and I think that's a very valid criticism and an adjustment that I probably should have made. Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if you'll take this into consideration moving forward, because I am a firm believer that even if the fingers are extended, even for accidental eye pokes, straight up point deduction, I don't care if it's accidental or not, this will condition the fighters over time to actually have this in the back of their mind. Maybe I shouldn't have my fingers like this, maybe closed fists, maybe hands up like this, something along those lines.
I think that you're a fair point.
you say these rules in the back, Jason. I think that's what kind of bugs me, is that you specifically did this and the whole thing, everything that you said happened to me, and there is no point taken away, man. I have a loss on my record, Jason, because you didn't make the right call, man. And then
He's losing me a little bit there. He's losing me a little bit there with that one, because I understand where he's coming from, but Henry Cejudo was on track to lose that fight. At best, it was 2-1 for Song Yadong, and Song Yadong, I don't remember what I scored it personally, but Song Yadong was likely winning 3-0, and he would have absolutely won rounds 4 and 5, because what dangerous amount of pressure is Henry Cejudo going to put on Song Yadong where he's going to put him away? That wouldn't have happened. Song Yadong was going to win the fight.
And that bugs me a little bit.
I can't say that you're wrong. And when I watch it again, I'm like, yeah, you should have probably stopped it, taken a point there.
Yeah, and you know what? It's cool about Jason Herzog. I've always liked Jason Herzog. It's nice to see that he's open for constructive feedback. But at the same time, what I like, with the extent of cheating that we see in MMA right now, I really do believe that when it comes to some of these fighters, like the UFC and Dana White wanted Song Yadong to win that fight, I really do believe that the UFC has conversations with these refs behind closed doors, like, you know what, let him get away with this, let Conor McGregor get away with this, let Khabib get away with this. Or I'm not saying like Khabib's a cheater or anything, but you get the point. Like, there are some favorites like Sean O'Malley holding the cage, things like that. Just go, hey, don't do that, and then there's nothing that ends up coming from it. That's the only explanation. We know Dana hates Henry Cejudo. He hates him. I really do, because it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense why you wouldn't take a point, why you wouldn't warn Song Yadong, why you wouldn't stop the fight, why we went into the 4th round to give Song Yadong the decision. All of that doesn't really make sense to me. Here's the problem too, and it's important to note when watching this video, Henry Cejudo is one of my favorite fighters. I really have enjoyed him throughout the years. It's a little strange how he's been handling the situation. It's almost giving me Jamal Hill vibes. I understand why he's doing it. I understand why he's bitter, but it seems like he's kind of just not accepting the fact that he was on his way to losing, and it really is difficult to believe for myself and a lot of you as well that he wasn't looking for a way out. This is where I'm stopping though, because he could have been telling the truth. It just really didn't seem like it. Unfortunately, we'll never know. But it's not just about what I think, guys. We're going to take a look at replies to championship rounds and over on the Explore page, because this was everywhere yesterday when people were talking about it. By the way, if you have not liked the video yet, please consider hitting like and subscribe to the channel, guys. I hope you're enjoying it. Let's continue on to what everybody had to say about this. Kyle Anthony's UFC betting had this to say: putting the loss on Herzog is a bad look. After 3 rounds, Song outlanded Henry 84-67, and he had 0 takedowns. Eye poke or not, he wasn't winning the fight. If fighters want to jump on FaceTime with anyone to argue issues, they should hit up the terrible judges. That's true, too. The judges definitely need to be accounted for. But just like I was talking about with the referee, the UFC probably talks to these judges as well. But I agree with that, man. Like, that might be where I'm stopping, where I'm having issues with this, because he's valid to feel how he's feeling, but he's putting the loss completely on Jason Herzog, which is a little ridiculous in my opinion, okay? Let's continue on to, meanwhile, Mighty, is this the clip? I'm pretty sure I know what this clip's going to be. This has been going around as well. Let's see.
He pokes Henry Cejudo in the eye as Henry Cejudo is throwing a 2 to the body. And those things go in there like he was trying to impregnate Henry Cejudo with them eyes.
You know, the first time that I saw this, I thought this was AI, but I saw it all over the
Henry's
place.
eyeballs were vagina and Song's fingers were a penis. Henry would be pregnant right now.
Like, I actually thought that was AI. Mighty, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, Demetrius Johnson, okay? This has got to be a whole new low. You're calling out the ref and still bitching, damaging your own legacy doing goofy crap like this. Unfortunately, I agree, but I almost can't blame Henry Cejudo, because what's he going to do now? He's had 3 losses in a row, and the UFC clearly doesn't like him that much. If he can get away with making controversy out of this stoppage, then, you know, why not, right? I understand. That's the problem. Let's continue on to the next reply. Maybe I'm the oddball out here, but I think this is very strange. Win or loss, UFC fighters should not be talking to the referees outside the octagon. I don't know how I feel about that one. Oh, the reply is interesting. Now I'm with you. I don't like when any officials get personal with the athletes, whether it's buddy-buddy or like some NBA refs or players, or how personal it gets between certain umpires and players. Keep an appropriate distance and professionalism. Yeah, I see both sides of that one, to be honest with you. I don't feel too strongly either way, as long as you're being an objective ref, and like, let's say he ends up becoming buddy-buddy with Henry Cejudo, then you wouldn't treat him differently in fights, but it'd be difficult to fight against that urge to do that to somebody, you know, so I understand, okay? Let's continue on. Damn, this is a total bitch move. Accidental eye pokes almost never get a point deducted unless it happens a second time. And even then, when's the last time you've seen a point deduction for any sort of foul? The UFC and MMA athletic conditions, no matter what we need to go through, the amount of cheating is ridiculous. It's to the point where I've come to, or if you're new to the channel, I make a lot of full card breakdown videos. I predict fights. I take good cheaters, or like people who cheat often, into consideration when I'm breaking down fights, because I'm like, hey, this guy's not afraid to cheat. You know, the ref's not going to do anything. He's going to gouge your eyes. He's going to hold down the fence. His takedown defense is awesome because he's going to be yanking on that cage. It's to the point where I actually take people who are willing to cheat into my consideration, especially when I'm betting. It's crazy. Absolutely insane. Wow, huge respect to Jason for admitting that. I'm sure Henry appreciated it, even though he's still bitter, rightfully so. And to be honest with you, Henry does have something to feel bitter about. I just think he's going too far with it, and he's blaming Herzog for his loss, which was a little bit ridiculous, right? That's the problem. So Henry should have stopped a little while ago. But honestly, I agree with that. Huge respect to Jason. I've always thought, in my opinion, he is my favorite referee, him and Herb Dean, but there is no referee that's been perfect MMA. Perhaps we should make a tier list one day about all of the referees, okay? I don't know about Henry's take, but Jason was real for listening, though. Henry could have said that he couldn't see instead of continuing to fight also. That is also true, but I'm with that as well. It's cool of Jason Herzog to come in and listen to Henry Cejudo. Like, I guess he like dug into him just a little bit. Being a ref is a hard job because everything happens so quick. I think Henry is dragging it at this point. But this is the problem. I agree with this reply as well. It is his career. Don't you think that matters to him? He is right. Herzog did nothing for 3 fouls. That Song did. But Henry Cejudo also did nothing to get a one-up on Song Yadong. Like, that's the problem. Henry Cejudo has himself to blame for the loss. But maybe it should have been a point deduction. Maybe it should have been if you want to go to the scorecards, then it should have been a draw. The problem is I kind of get both sides of this, but it's so difficult to believe that Henry Cejudo wasn't faking it, man. It really is. It really, really is. And this is coming from a fan of Henry Cejudo, okay? Herzog's judgment is consistently better than anyone else in MMA, and he does hundreds of fights a year. Accidental poke is unfortunate, but Song won 3 rounds start to finish. Yeah, 3 rounds, maximum 29-28, and he was definitely going to win rounds 4 and 5. There was no way Henry Cejudo was getting out of that fight, okay? I don't think Herzog handled it correctly. Firstly, Song was pointing his fingers out. It was a blatant eye poke, not intentional, but Henry clearly couldn't continue but tried to absorb in the 5 minutes as much as possible. Secondly, Jason should have told Henry that if he couldn't see after 5 minutes, he would have to stop the match as a no contest. That wasn't relayed to Henry that entire time, just assumed that he had 5 minutes and the fight had to continue. So Henry thought he could just use up those 5 minutes, end the round, and then get another few minutes to heal up. It was just bad all round. The point probably should have been taken once Jason knew that Henry still couldn't see. He should have explained to Henry what the plan was if he couldn't continue. That's fair. I thought the entire way, yeah, you know what? I agree with this. Like, it was just bad all around. The way that they concluded the fight was ridiculous. The way Henry was behaving was ridiculous. Him laughing at the cage, like, I don't know. And the reffing for Song Yadong was ridiculous. Song Yadong was sticking his fingers out. Like, remember when that fight first came about? Song came right back just like this. Like, that's beyond ridiculous, and points should absolutely be taken away. Allen had this to say: this needs to happen more. These referees need to be held accountable for their actions. There's a lot on the line for these fighters. Win bonuses, bigger fights possible, championship fights, etc. This is their lives and how they provide for their families. Very true. And you are... At what point does the responsibility fall on Henry Cejudo, though? He wasn't winning that fight. He wasn't going to win that fight. Even if the point deduction and they just continue on the fight, that's the problem. But I also do believe that a lot of referees need to be held accountable for their actions. It's not like Jason Herzog did something atrocious like we saw with the Jalen Turner and Bobby Green fight. He just didn't necessarily handle a situation properly, but there are a lot of different fights and over the years that Jason Herzog handled perfectly fine. You know, like, I understand both ways, man. Poirier and Makachev fan had this to say: Henry keeping his eyes shut for these past few days as if he wasn't smiling with both eyes wide open for 4 minutes after the poke happened. This is worse than Aljo's Oscar award-winning performance. That's not true, but this is the big issue with believing Henry Cejudo right now. There could be damage to his eye. But like, come on. And he was smiling through it. He looked okay. He wasn't like doing this or anything. He was just going... just trying to get the fight stopped. Going, I can't fucking see. I can't see. Just over and over yelling that to make sure that people heard it and to make sure that the fight was stopped so he could like look like he just still wanted to fight. And that's why Herzog is the best ref. He's open to constructive feedback. I think that's cool, though. I'm not with the reply over there. Like, this means nothing. Who cares if he takes feedback? He should have taken a point during the fight. That's true. But it is nice that we actually see an MMA official actually taking accountability for an incorrect call. That is not why you have a loss on your record. Sure, anything could have happened, but Song was clearly winning and had no signs of slowing down at that front. You're going to lose unless a miracle was pulled off. Crap happens. Quit crying to Jason about your performance. I think this is probably the best thing, or the best reply that was said to all of this. There was no chance that Henry Cejudo was going to finish that fight. Was he going to submit him? No. Was he going to outwork him? No. Was he going to outstrike him? No. Song Yadong was going to win that fight either way, and Henry Cejudo is looking for somebody to blame for his poor performance. Mike had this to say: if he couldn't see, he shouldn't have agreed to continue after the 5 minutes. He had assessed his vision during that time. It would have been a no contest. Bad luck that he engaged with the crowd instead. Henry can't blame Jason for the L because of the scorecards. Again, very accurate. We love to see that as well. If you want to hear my take on whether or not Henry Cejudo faked it, and on top of that, Henry Cejudo also ended up posting about this with the proof, as much proof as you're gonna get on X, you know. And people ended up replying to it. People ended up really dragging Henry Cejudo to the mud. You can check out this video here where we talk about it. I would love to have you guys over there. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.